painting you are looking at right now stands nearly 3 meters tall, and it is displayed in one of the most prestigious museums in the world. In it, 2 naked men tear each other apart with such brutal realism that you can almost feel the pain on your own skin. One bites the other's neck with an animal-like rage, while a demon smiles in the background, delighting in the spectacle. A few years ago, I was fortunate enough to see this painting in person, and I still remember how I was practically the only one who dared to stop and look at it for more than a few minutes. And this is no exaggeration. Families with children would walk past it, some even covering their kids' eyes so they wouldn't see a scene so extremely savage. But the most unsettling part of all this is that its creator was not a dark or obscure artist, nor someone accustomed to painting such scenes. William-Adolphe Bouguereau was the master of French academicism, famous for his flawless virgins and delicate nymphs. It's hard to believe that the same man who painted those works could have pulled something like this out of his imagination. The title of the painting is Dante and Virgil in Hell, and Bouguereau painted it in 1850. It's a gigantic oil on canvas, almost 3 meters high by more than 2 meters wide, and today it hangs in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. What's fascinating is that Bouguereau was only 25 years old when he painted it. At the time, he was just an ambitious young man, fresh out of the École des Beaux-Arts, eager to make a name for himself in the French art world. This painting was, in fact, one of his boldest attempts to win the prestigious Prix de Rome, a competition that could catapult the career of any artist who managed to obtain it. Back then, if you wanted to be someone in 19th century academic painting, that prize was your ticket to success. This work was the calling card of a young painter determined to impress the jury with everything he was capable of, and he certainly did. The first thing that strikes the eye in this painting are the 2 naked bodies at the center of the composition, twisted in a struggle that seems to have no end. One of them, his face contorted, sinks his teeth into the neck of his opponent. The other, in a desperate gesture, tries to break free as his torso arches in pain. To the left, standing slightly apart from the violence, are Dante and Virgil. Dante, dressed in dark red, hides almost instinctively behind his master. His expression is pure horror, as if what he is witnessing surpasses anything he could have imagined. Virgil, on the other hand, stands tall and composed, dressed in white, like a figure calmly and authoritatively observing what unfolds before him. And in the background, like a privileged spectator, a winged demon appears. His arms are crossed, and his face bears a strange smile, as if savoring the spectacle of human suffering. The sky behind him burns red, blazing, as though the entire atmosphere were made of fire and sulfur. The colors of this painting reinforce that infernal sensation. The pale skin of the damned contrasts with the dark shadows of the rock, and the light seems to fall only on what is essential, like a theatrical spotlight that forces us to confront the brutality without escape. To understand what we are looking at, we need to return to the text that inspired it, the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, written in the 14th century. In Canto 30 of the Inferno, the poet descends with Virgil to the 10th trench of the 8th circle. Here we do not find murderers or tyrants, but another kind of sinner, the falsifiers, those who, in life, deceived others, whether by altering metals, assuming false identities, or inventing lies. It is a place where rage and madness reign completely. The damned run, bite, scratch, and attack one another without rest, as if they were beasts. In this circle, we find Gianni Schicchi, infamous for having impersonated another man in order to steal an inheritance. His punishment was to be transformed into a rabid soul that lashes out at anyone in his path. In this scene, Schicchi throws himself upon Capocchio, an alchemist condemned for falsifying metals, and bites into his throat with fury. In life, Capocchio deceived others by passing off common materials as gold. In Dante's Inferno, this kind of falsification was considered a grave sin because it corruptly imitated the creation of nature itself. That is why he received such a severe punishment. And there's a detail that makes it even more striking. Dante actually knew Capocchio in life. In the painting, he is not observing a stranger. He is looking at someone with whom he once shared time in Florence, now reduced to a damned soul. Another important detail in this painting is Schicchi's hair. Bouguereau paints it with an intense reddish hue, a color traditionally associated in painting with anger, violence, and the demonic. The text never says this was the color of his hair. This was the artist's choice. It is a way of underlining his animal fury, his total loss of humanity as he lunges to bite another condemned soul. And the third point, which to me is the most important, is the anatomy. Here Bouguereau truly shines. Every muscle, every tendon, every vein is rendered with almost surgical precision. Schicchi's body twists in an impossible gesture of pure tension and rage. Capocchio's body, arched backward, conveys pain and desperation. These are anything but generic bodies. They are anatomical studies pushed to the limit, crafted so that the violence feels real in the eyes of the viewer. As I mentioned earlier, the painting was created with the intention of winning the Prix de Rome in 1850. However, it did not succeed. Another of Bouguereau's works won first place instead. Yet with this piece, he still achieved something remarkable. He captured everyone's attention. Critics of the time were astonished by the energy and anatomical precision of the painting. Théophile Gautier, one of the great French critics of the era, even highlighted the unusual force it conveyed, something uncommon in academic art where everything tended towards softness and idealized perfection. As time went on, Bouguereau never again created anything like it. The rest of his career is known for paintings completely different from this one, bucolic scenes full of grace and sweetness. Dante and Virgil in Hell was an exception in his career, a unique outburst of academic brutality and horror within a trajectory that became synonymous with classical beauty. Perhaps that is precisely why this painting stands out so much today, because it reveals a side of Bouguereau that he never showed again. Now I'd like to know your reaction to this painting. Honestly, the title of this video is not clickbait. Standing in front of a canvas of this size is a deeply unsettling experience. I can understand that for you. Watching through a screen, it's not quite the same. But if you ever get the chance to visit Paris, I highly recommend that you go and see this masterpiece in person. And if you already have, I'd love to read about your experience in the comments. And if you'd like to have a reproduction of this painting in your own home, you can get it from our catalogue and start your own collection. The video you're watching right now is an example of how you can decorate your space with a true work of art, turning your home into your own personal museum. Shipping is completely free worldwide, and by purchasing, you'll also be supporting me in creating more videos every week. I'll leave the link in the description. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.